Hey friends, welcome to Living the KG Life, a pixie dust-filled podcast. On today's episode, we have Jen Belanger with us, who's going to be talking all about how to make sure you know how to prep and recover with long park days for your trips. So stick around, it's going to be great. All right, Jen, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I am so excited to have you here.
Yay! I'm so excited to be here. I'm nervous and excited, and this is just so awesome.
It's going to be great. So why don't you kick us off and tell us who you are and what you do?
First of all, as I'm talking into the microphone, I can picture the listeners. So I'm looking at the mic saying, hey, everyone. So I'm Jen. Some people know me as Jen B. My students know me as Mrs. Belanger. I'm Kristen's, one of her many cousins. I'm an art teacher in Medford, and I'm also a fitness instructor and a mom, wife, sister, cousin, all those good things.
All the amazing things. If you could see what she's wearing right now, her shirt says Cool Mom.
Yeah, it's
because
true.
she is the cool mom.
I don't lie.
So we are here to talk about all things Disney.
Mm-hmm.
Jen is one of the people that I can talk to about Disney literally from the second I open my eyes to the second I close my eyes at night. We could talk about it all day long.
Yeah, we have.
And yeah, that's true. We have.
We had a real fun FaceTime last week.
Yeah.
It was just all Disney talk. Mm-hmm.
If you think back, what is your earliest Disney memory or what made you fall in love with Disney?
Earliest Disney memory is being on the Small World ride with my parents. I think my little sister was like an infant. I don't even know if she was on the ride, but I remember sitting next to my parents and going through and hearing the music and seeing those dancing dolls and just like feeling like I was in the most magical place on earth because I was. So that is my earliest memory.
Do you think that's what sparked your love of It's a Small World?
I think so, because when I think of Disney, that's the first thing I think of.
Yeah.
Those shapes, the colors, and you know, that song just plays over and over in your head. It's a 15-minute song. I've played it on a loop in my classroom before, so yeah. It's magical 15 minutes.
I love it. Now, you have gone to Disney for lots of different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to what Jen, my sister, and I talked about. You've gone for cheering. You've done family trips. You've done girls' trips because we did a girls' trip.
Best weekend ever.
Oh my God, it was amazing. Do you have any things that when you go to Disney, you're like, have to do it, must do, traditions, favorite things that are Jen B has got to do them?
Well, to me, Disney is Magic Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
All of the other parks are amazing, but like Magic Kingdom is it for me. I have to do 2 days of Magic Kingdom. It definitely has to be like one of the first places that I go. And then I have to go on the last day and like just soak up every last second and then basically drive directly to the airport because it's just amazing. And when I'm there, I have to go on Splash Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
It is my ultimate favorite ride. There's nothing better than falling down that. Basically, it feels like you're falling into a pit of despair and it just doesn't stop. You think, oh, I'm about to just like land, and then you don't and you keep going. And it's just the best thrill ride.
Now, how do you feel about the new retheming that's going to be happening coming into Princess and the Frog?
I'm excited. I love Princess Tiana.
Yes.
When we met her at the Hall of Princesses 4 years ago, she was the best. So I'm really excited. I think it's just going to be so much richer and you know, it's bringing new life to just a great ride. The structure of the ride is going to be the same. Like we're still going to have that amazing drop. You know, it's a water theme ride. Whatever they do to it, it's just going to make it that much better.
And I think the story that they're going to tell is going to be fairly easy to transition to because it sounds like Tiana and Louie are going to be getting to New Orleans. Like I could see it all kind of like there'll be something that happens, some kind of like, you know, drop moment of like, oh my gosh. And then you end up in New Orleans. Like you can picture that big ferry with, you know, the dancing geese or whatever. Imagine that being like New Orleans Mardi Gras.
Right. And
that's going to be so cool.
The music is so good in that movie.
Yes.
I'm really pumped for that. I love the Splash Mountain theme, but I'm ready to move on.
Yep. Agreed.
I think I can picture the colors. Like it's going to be brilliant.
Now, do you have either like different memories or different favorites when you go on your different trips, like with your whole family, like your sisters and their kids, or just your husband and your kids versus like when we went and did a girls' trip?
So I have been on many different trips, again, childhood trips. And then after like I was real young, my next trips were all Pop Warner trips.
Yeah.
And anyone out there listening who was involved in the Pop Warner cheerleading trips, they were quick. They were not so much about going to all the parks. It was like you got one park day. You were there with your team. You'd work so hard. So those trips bring up like so much joy, but also a sense of pride.
And there was a lot of rules on those trips.
A lot of rules.
You really couldn't swim. You shouldn't be stunting. Like there were certain things that you could not risk.
Right. It was like you can't go on any rides until after competition day.
Yep.
And when we did go to the park, it was so fun. I just remember like running around with Angie and Angela and all the, the different kids that I still keep in touch with today. And then after you competed, the night after our competition, we had free reign over what was then MGM Studios. And we could go on any ride and we could just walk in and get all the chicken nuggets that we wanted and all the fries. And it just felt like we owned the place, which was really cool.
You know what's so funny is I actually don't have like vivid memories of that.
Oh my gosh.
Like I know we did it because we went a few different years, but like I don't have vivid memories of that.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure what that says about me like as a person.
Well, I think
or I'm like so desensitized to Disney, but like I have pictures of it. And remember, and I remember being like, oh, this is so cool. But like everyone else that I've talked to that has gone on these trips, like that was it. That was the shit.
It was like thousands of cheerleaders just running around. No one else was in the park because it was closed.
And honestly, who would want to with all of us running around?
No, nobody. Oh my gosh. I always think about the people on the planes and I feel so bad that we're like, we are number one, like all the way down. Those trips were so much fun for that reason. And every time I go back to Disney, I make my family stop in front of the Indiana Jones soundstage and remind them, this is where I won the 1996 National Cheerleading Champions. Okay.
You did the routine when we went.
Did the routine because I still know it. But then going with my family, my kids, it's all about them. And then when we went on girls' weekend, cousins' weekend, was the best weekend because I could be like selfishly happy and not have to worry about anyone else, jump out of bed early in the morning and, be in line for rope drop. That was awesome. I could not ask my kids to do that. And so just having that opportunity was so fun. So I recommend that people go with their family, but like go with your friends. It's so
100%.
much fun. So much fun.
100%. And especially as adults, because people say that all the time. They're like, you Disney trip or a girls weekend or going with my brother or the family and all the kids. They're all totally different. It actually changes your experience on the trip.
Completely. We're planning our next trip and, I'm talking to Erin about where are we staying and, well, what about if I want to walk to Epcot? And then I have to remind myself, I'm not walking to Epcot by myself because I'll have the kids and they'll be tired and, it's a different trip. So you do have to plan completely, basically like different itineraries.
Yep.
For different people.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, so you've done a couple trips in this COVID period. Were there any tips that you learned or things that worked really well for either your family when you went or when we went on our girls trip that in this like kind of differing time you would share with people?
When it comes to the state of the world right now in Disney, I would say just stop overthinking it.
Yep.
There's nothing that you have to plan for that's different except pack some masks. Everything else is pretty much the same. Yeah, the lines are a little bit different. It's actually really nice not to have someone right on your heels when you're in line and you have a little bit more personal space. I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
It was nice. I actually think it made the lines move a little quicker because when you were in a long line, if you're like, oh man, this line is so long, but it just was moving so quickly because everyone was spaced and they just kept it moving. But no, when it comes to COVID right now, I'd say if you want to go to Disney, just book your Disney trip and that's all you need to know. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think your point of not overthinking is so important because it's so easy to do that right now from booking your flights, booking your hotel, where you're going to stay, what parks you're going to do.
Right.
You almost have to kind of half wing the trip and just know that like, okay, where we're going to stay is going to be awesome. We're going to do this thing on this day at this park. And then everything else also becomes like extra. It becomes that like bonus fun that you weren't planning on, which makes it a little bit easier to not be stressed.
Yeah.
So I think the more, like you said, the more you can not overthink, which is so much easier said than done. Trust me. Jen and I know about overthinking, especially when it comes to Disney. We could think of every different scenario in the world.
It's not worth thinking about what if, what about, because COVID or not, you could come up with a million what ifs. What if I don't pack enough underwear?
Yeah.
Well, you just prime that to your room, or
Yep.
you go without underwear. Like, it's
Yeah.
fine. You'll be fine. Everyone will be fine.
It's gonna be great.
Yep.
Now, what we're gonna talk about on this episode specifically, and I'm really excited because I feel like you are the person for this, is talking about stretching, recovery, preparation for long park days with your background.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to start with just kind of like, what are tips that you have that are important for people to use or implement or have to make sure that their body physically feels prepared for what could potentially be a long park day?
Mm-hmm. Well, when you're going to Disney, you're not going on a leisure trip.
Yeah.
You're going on a very active family vacation, or friends vacation. And so planning for that is really important. First, you need a fanny pack or a backpack, and you need to load it up with Ultima hydration packs or liquid IVs, because staying hydrated is number one. You're just so into everything that you're doing that you forget, like, oh my gosh, I haven't had enough water, or like suddenly you're so hungry. So packing some little snacks in there, but make them healthy snacks, because you are walking. I think we log like 30,000 steps a day just walking around the parks. Snacks when you're in the park and you're kind of getting hungry and you're thinking, oh, after this ride we'll go eat. Well, maybe get your mobile order in, because that ride is probably going to take you an hour, and then suddenly you're hangry and you're crying. And you're like, where's my Nutella waffle?
Yeah.
So planning ahead, don't underestimate how hungry or thirsty you're going to be. And, I talked a little bit about, on average, you're taking 30,000 steps a day, at least.
Which is not typical for most people in any kind of job,
No.
especially if some people are now working from home or in a totally different working environment.
I think I did 8,000 steps today, if that. And I was kind of active. So yeah, it literally is like exercise. You're exercising from morning till night. So when you are standing in lines, posture is a big thing, because as your body gets tired, your whole abdominal wall just is going to want to dump out towards the front. And then you're putting low, pressure on your low back, and you're not really engaging your glutes. And so then your hip flexors are getting tight. So as the day goes on, your body's just finding ways just to keep like moving. Other muscle groups are taking over. And by the time you get back, your feet are swollen. All right. So I strongly encourage you to have a morning and an evening routine. The first night, I feel like you just go to bed. It's like, whatever. And then in the morning, you might feel the effects of the first day at the park. So you're like, oh gosh.
Or even the travel day.
Oh, sitting on the plane.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Get up and walk up and down the aisle. I don't care if you have to go to the bathroom or not. Walk to that bathroom.
And if you're driving, when you take a break, same thing. Kind of do a little strut. And kind of stretch your legs.
I know. I forgot. Some people drive to Disney, even though we considered it a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we're like, let's drive to Disney. Aaron's like, absolutely not. I'll leave you on the side of the road.
I'm like, take the auto train. You can do it.
That was a hard no. I would have done it. But the routine for when they get out of bed, especially a hotel bed, right? Might put a little strain on your low back if it's not a good mattress. But if you shared a hotel room with me, you know that I sleep on my back, basically with my arms by my side, face up. Like, I do not move.
She literally looks like a mummy. I don't understand.
Yeah, and then I just sit straight up in the morning and get going. So when you're standing in line and you're just kind of, you're not engaging your core, you're not engaging your glutes. So different parts of your body are taking strain. So in the morning, child's pose, find some length in your spine, go through a couple cat-cows, moving through some sun salutations, moving through all planes of your body, and then really sitting in some deep hip openers, hip flexor openers. So either supine figure 4 or half pigeons. If you're familiar with the frog pose, do it, and do it for a while. I basically snuck out of bed in the pitch dark and just sat next to the bed, trying not to wake everybody else up, doing all these stretches just so I could function the next day. And you know what? I have bunions, and so my feet really hurt a lot. And so just like pointing and flexing and massaging out my feet, and at the end of a long day, maybe laying on the floor and putting your legs up the wall, all that blood is like just constantly, all day you're on your feet. Switch it up. Reverse that. Put my thing now, flip it and reverse it. So if you commit to stretching in the morning and then stretching after a long day, but again, staying hydrated. And then when you're walking through the park, actively think about like, oh, I'm going to squeeze my butt a little bit here. I'm going to stand up a little bit taller. And forget about the fashion shoes. You cannot walk through the parks in flip-flops. When I see people in flip-flops, I just want to yell at them and say, what are you thinking? What are you doing? Wear sneakers. It's not a fashion show. Okay? It's about getting on the rides.
Having a great time.
Having fun. So get on your best walking or running sneakers, whatever they are, and get moving.
So how about length of time? Everyone should have a routine. Is there a length of time you would say in this routine? Should it be like a minimum of 5 minutes, a minimum of 15 minutes? Like what's a good amount of time that someone should do these stretches to feel good pre or post park day?
I would say don't put a time on it. Do it until you feel like you have your full mobility and it's not hurting you. So I'm a pretty healthy and active person. I work out a lot. I'm a fitness instructor. But Disney, it's like something else. I mean, your body goes through a lot. And again, sleeping in a different bed. So I would say I spent between 15 and 20 minutes, especially moving through the cat-cows, really stretching my low back and hanging in those half pigeons. I stayed in them until I felt a release.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think it's easy to say, oh, I'm going to skip it. So if you are going to put a time limit on one of them, put it on your nighttime stretch, and then in the morning, give yourself the bigger stretch so you feel ready to go.
And then are there any stretches or even maybe like little things, like you said, remember your posture, like when you're waiting in line, for example, right? If you're in a longer line, it's going to be easier to kind of like just slowly hunch.
Yes.
Hunch down.
I'm hunching right now.
Yeah. Anything else that people can do during the day that would be helpful?
When you sit down on a ride, that's a good time to engage your pelvic floor and pull it up and lock your core in. I mean, we're walking around all day and our body's just taking a lot. I think I remember sitting down on, Mine Train. I was like, oh, I'm going to do a couple Kegels.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I haven't exercised all day. So, just reminding your body, like, I got to activate my core because I don't want my back to hurt later. Or like when you're whipping around on those bumpy rides too, it's like, what's going on in your body? So anytime you can either activate a muscle group that is kind of being neglected during the day, or if you see me in a line, you'll probably see me like grab my foot and I'm doing a quad stretch. And the thing about quad stretches, I've stretched a lot of people over many years. I always say the same thing because it's so important. When you're doing a quad stretch, and if you're standing in line doing it, make sure that leg that's up is in line or behind your standing leg and really give your glutes a squeeze. That's going to open up your hip flexors. That's going to be where you feel that release. So yeah, I love a good quad stretch. I think I did a few forward folds where Aaron's like, everyone's looking at your butt. I'm like, that's fine, it's fine. Yeah. But you've got to do it.
I think that is one of the things that I do the most, probably standing in line, like, oh, I really just want to like fold over into a pancake right now and feel it. I feel it right in my lower back after I've been standing for a little bit too long. And I'm like, if I could just get like 2 feet around me, I could do a quick stretch and feel 100 times better.
Yeah, just do it. Just do it. Or put your backpack down and pretend you're looking for something and just fold in half.
A great sneak stretch.
Yeah. And the great thing about when you're looking for that back release, I would say especially if you're carrying around a backpack and there's water bottles in there, your legs don't have to be straight. Like it should be a low back release, not necessarily you're looking for hamstring release at that point. So bend your knees, just let your chest like pour onto your thighs and hang there. If I'm sitting, I'm crossing my legs into a figure 4 stretch, flexing my feet and really trying to open up a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a great place to sneak it in when you're sitting down outside of Starlight Rays. For chicken nuggets. Chicken fingers. They're not nuggets anymore.
That's a sore subject for me.
Yeah, I love the tenders.
Nugget girl forever. Diz Nugs forever. However, the Tusker House in Animal Kingdom still got the Diz Nugs.
I have not had those yet.
Found them the last trip, and I was like, well, sold. I'll be coming here every trip. And yes, you can tell me that I'm eating like a 10-year-old.
Oh, it's fine. That's what you do in Disney. Just have whatever.
Yes. Speaking of 10-year-olds, let's talk about stretching as a fam.
Okay.
Are there some good stretches that you have for little ones? Because sometimes they may need a stretch and maybe don't know that they need a stretch. I feel like my sister is always telling the kids, make sure you drink water. Drink water. You haven't had water in a while. What are some stretches that kids can do to make sure they have those same benefits and they can also last through the park days? Because we know if they're not having a great day today, that could very well leak over into tomorrow and the next day and potentially impact your whole trip.
Yep. We definitely had to leave the Animal Kingdom at one point because it was a lot and we needed a nap.
And sometimes it's so hot too
Yeah.
that you can't help it.
Yeah. So my kids like doing whatever I'm doing. So they're willing to follow along, which is shocking because, they're 10 and 8 and they don't always cooperate with everything else I ask them to do. Fly stretch. It feels different if you put your feet further away from your body. You're going to get more of the outsides of your legs. If you pull your feet in, you're going to get more of a groin stretch. That's an easy one for them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Touching your toes, again, releasing your low back, and then maybe a couple bridges. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they'd want to do that.
And how about if you have a partner that's maybe not into fitness as much or is like, no, I don't need to do it.
Mm-hmm.
What's like one easy stretch that you can also say to them? Just do it. Trust me, you're going to feel better later, tomorrow, end of the day today.
I would say either the half pigeon, or if you have that knee sensitivity, roll over and do the supine figure 4. So laying on your back, crossing one leg over the other, hard flex on both feet, basket grip behind your opposite leg, and draw your legs in. That's going to feel like gold. That's going to feel good on everyone.
I love it. So any last tips for people to make sure they feel good before they hit the parks, after they hit the parks, or throughout the length of their stay?
Okay. Stretch, hydrate, make sure you're eating, but also, and we just said this, like have all the fun foods because you want to have all the fun foods.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're someone that typically doesn't eat dairy or typically isn't used to eating fried food all the time, make sure that you are picking at least one meal a day where you're getting what makes you feel good, because if not, you're not going to have the fuel to get through the next day. And if you're like me, you're going to be grouchy. It's going to make you anxious. Like I have to get my goods in. So I actually pack greens first.
Mm-hmm.
I do the little individual packets available at the energy bar. Chocolate greens first or berry greens first. You can mix that in with water. Vital proteins, individual packs. I mix that in with my coffee or water. So making sure I'm getting enough protein, all mobile food orders. And I know the places we're going and I'm definitely not going to be having a vegetable. Like do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not putting in what your body needs, then your body's going to tell you real fast.
Yep. And that's a really important piece too, is to really listen to your body.
Mm-hmm.
Really think about how your like the warmth of your body feels if you're like us coming from Massachusetts in the winter months and then going down to Florida and it's in 80s or 90s. That's also gonna be a big body change, right? So
yeah,
keeping that in mind and then really just think about how you feel, like you said, from your stomach. We've talked a lot about the Disney stomach, which can not always be fun. So really think about how do you normally eat versus what are you planning to eat while you're there.
Mm-hmm.
And then stretching, which is huge. And I know we teased you about it a little bit when we went on the girls trip. And I was like, she's actually really smart to be doing this. Like I probably should have always been doing this and I probably should forever do it.
Stretching and also going to bed at a reasonable hour, something that I also maybe got a little bit of heat for. But I just knew I wanted to be up super early the next day. Yeah, no, stretching is totally underrated. I mean, even in every day. Like if you're working from home and you're typing at a computer all day, stretch your chest, open your body, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I've actually even brought sometimes a little foam roller or like I have one of those, the fascia blaster. Oh yeah. Which is also great to just kind of like move shit around in there.
Yep.
Like, and they're small. So if you can get a small one that you can pack too, and if you do like to foam roll, that's also really helpful. Like definitely on Run Disney trips, I always bring one of those. And I'm like, whoever's looking at my bag in TSA is probably like, what is this girl doing? But I know I need to have that so that I'll feel better for the, 2:33 a.m. wake up call the next day for the next race.
I did pack a loop resistance band on my last family trip to basically put it behind my back, activate like my triceps, but really to open up my chest. That felt so good because we take turns carrying the backpack. And when you're carrying the backpack with the waters for the kids, you're naturally just like closing off your chest. And it's not until you peel that backpack away that you're like, oh my gosh.
And you realize even how far your shoulders have crunched in.
Yeah.
Until you take it off.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, we will also make sure to plug, keep your eyes out on Instagram because Jen's also going to do a quick video so that you can see all the things that she's been talking about.
It'll make so much sense.
Yeah. And then you can actually save them. You can take them with you so when you go on your trip, you have some stretches ready to go.
That's exciting. I should wear a costume for that.
You absolutely should. And if you know Jen, you know she loves a good costume. And if you don't, now you know.
Yeah. You're gonna know.
So get ready. All right, so let's wrap up with speed round of favorites.
Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. Okay. Ah.
So, what is your favorite resort?
Polynesian. Next question.
I am shocked. If you guys, my chin was literally just down to my shoulders.
Well,
what?
Okay. So I had two answers that I was thinking of because my favorite resort, I should say it's the boardwalk. I said Polynesian.
I was like, what?
I said Polynesian because that's trips with my kids.
Yeah.
Okay, just stop. Ask me. Cut that out. Rewind. Start the speed round over. I don't know why. Speed round. Take
right.
2. Anything in the boardwalk area would be my favorite. The boardwalk, I got to stay there on our girls' weekend, and that is like the ultimate. Mm-hmm. I also have to say I love the Polynesian. Yep. My family, we got to stay there a few years ago, and it was just an amazing experience. My sister, one of my sisters was there with her kids, so I think I have so many memories tied to the Polynesian that I'm like, oh, I would just like love to go back there. And the pool is pretty legit. And
it's a totally different vibe.
Totally.
At the Poly.
It's so cool. It's so cool. But boardwalk, you're like just right in the center of all the action. So yeah, that's
love
what I want to be.
All right, favorite restaurant on property?
Oh my gosh, I think it's Topolino's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Best breakfast I've ever had in my life.
I can't wait to go back.
So good.
That's one that every time I think about it, I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Get me back.
Yeah.
Favorite park?
Magic Kingdom.
Yes. Favorite ride at each park?
Magic Kingdom, Splash Mountain. Hollywood Studios, Tower of Terror. Those are both heavy drop rides. I like that little stomach up in the throat action. Epcot, my favorite ride is not Mission to Mars. That is the worst ride. I actually feel like Disney should eliminate that ride completely. I could do a whole episode on that. But anything at Epcot, the Frozen ride was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then at Animal Kingdom, Everest.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And you were very confident in all those answers. You're like, boom, boom, boom. Ready. Yeah. Love it. Favorite snack?
Nutella waffle. Yeah. Is it a snack or a meal?
I think it could be, honestly, I think you can make it whatever you want.
Yeah.
But I will tell everyone listening, the look on Jen's face when she ate that waffle was like amazing. Pure joy.
Oh my God, it was so good.
And you literally, you're like, I'm eating every drop of this and I'm not leaving until I'm done.
It was so good. And even like the strawberry slices that were on top were so fresh. And like the banana was so good. And the whole thing was just so stinking good.
And you had the castle right next to you, so the vibes were immaculate.
Oh, it was so cool. And then remember the cavalcade came through? It was just, it was the whole experience. But Nutella waffle, we got that twice. We ended up going back another day. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got the Mickey waffle, but.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, go to Sleepy Hollow, get the Nutella waffle.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Love it. Favorite merch or collectible item?
Ears. I love ears. Same. Even though they don't always stay on my oddly shaped head, I love them. The other day I was cleaning out my closet and I'm like, what's this right at the front door? A bag of ears. Like, why were they right at the front door? Because I might want to wear them to Wegmans. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just love them. I am soon probably going to have a little wall. Maybe I'll put it in my classroom. I think that would be fun. The kids would love it.
I have great hooks that you should buy for that. Love it. Favorite Disney movie?
The Little Mermaid. Yes. Yeah, that's never changed.
I have lots of favorites.
Yeah.
The Little Mermaid will always be like my A1 day one.
I remember my mother buying me the VHS when I was like sick when I was a kid. And I had to be home. And she's like, she got it Stop and Shop because you could buy movies then. Favorite. Oh, I love that plastic cover, opening it up. It was just so exciting.
We talked about that on one of the episodes, the Disney Plus holiday episode. Like the crack of that plastic.
Yep.
Anyone our age or in our generation will know that sound.
Yeah.
The snap of the binding. Can't beat it.
No, you can't.
All right. Favorite Disney character?
I have 2 answers, but I'm going to say I love Mickey. Mm-hmm. One of my first pieces of merch when I was younger, maybe from that trip, Small World, when I was young, I got a Mickey wallet. I remember the smell. I remember like silhouette on it.
Last question.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for you to tell this story on here.
Oh my God. What is it?
Your favorite, what is it? What's your favorite magic moment at Walt Disney World?
I think you think that you might know what I'm going to say, but I have 2.
Okay, I'm ready.
Oh my God, I might have 4. All right. First one, 1996 National Championship.
Yep.
Medford Pop Warner, Indiana Jones soundstage at Hollywood Studios. First place. Best night of my life.
Same.
Best night of my life.
I remember being there because, so 96, I was on the C.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was on the C squad. And I remember, like, you guys were the shit. I think we all knew our routine, and our coaches were like, stop paying attention to their routine.
Yeah.
Know your own. But, like, when you guys won, I feel like we all felt like everyone won. Like, Medford as a whole won because you guys won. You were, like, the heroes of the city.
We were the underdog. So, you know, much love to my neighbors in Everett, Massachusetts, which is another town next to us. But they were 4 competitions, all right? So we had 3 leading up to nationals. And every competition leading up to nationals, we kept taking second place to the Everett Husky A team. Mm-hmm. And every time we left a competition, we're like, what are we going to improve upon? Like, we just kept growing. We had that growth mindset. Yeah. And when they announced, I think Everett might have come in like 3rd or something. They announced them in 3rd or 4th. We were like, oh my God. Oh my God. And then when they announced us in 1st place, it was like everything we worked towards, it just, it was just so awesome. I sound like such a dork. Like, I've had 2 children. I've had all these other wonderful things, but that is like the best moment of my life. I love you, kids. I love you.
Amazing.
But another super magical moment, and again, I have so many, is I went to the live Frozen show. Oh yeah, Frozen Sing-Along. Frozen Sing-Along, Hollywood Studios. My parents were there, my sister, nieces. We were all sobbing. And Ben, you know Ben.
Yeah.
Ben was
Equity
Ben was still in the show at that point. It was the best show, like live show I'd ever seen. And then when the snow came down, all in hysterics. It was so stinking magical.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, Jen, this was awesome. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for doing this episode. Any last minute tips on things that people should consider to feel prepped and ready to go, recovery mode for park days? Yeah, I think you should just consider your park days an activity. Like, you are doing an activity. Mm-hmm. No one is handing you things. Like, yeah, you walk in there and it feels magic, but you're doing a lot of work. So make sure you prepare by staying hydrated, feeding yourself, and just giving yourself time. Love it. Yeah. And bring me with you. Yes. If you ever need people to go to Disney. Yeah. You can sponsor me and I'll guide your family. It'll be wonderful. I love that. Yeah. Now, for the folks that don't follow you yet, but probably will after this episode, where can they find you on the internet? You can find me in multiple locations. You can find me at Real Teacher Energy, REAL, all one word, Real Teacher Energy, where I share a lot of my school stuff and happenings. Or you can follow me at Jen with 1 N. I only need 1 _ sidebar, BARRE. And that's where you're going to find a lot of the fitness stuff, a lot of the life stuff, awesome. All the stuff. All the stuff. Yeah. And we will drop both of those handles in the show notes so everyone can make sure they follow you. Show notes. Amazing. Thanks, Jen. Yay. Thanks. This is great. Thanks so much for hanging out today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed our episode with Jen, talking all about how you can stretch, prepare, and recover before and after some long park days on your trips. Make sure you follow us at Living the KG Life on Instagram and subscribe on your favorite podcast streaming platform. We have new episodes out every Monday. So stick around. It's going to be great.